Assalamu alaikum and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into one of the most subtle and, honestly, one of the most challenging spiritual states that the Qur'an describes, the psychology of hypocrisy. It's a topic that really asks us to look inside ourselves. So, let's begin.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I seek refuge in God from the rejected Satan. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful.
You know, right at the very beginning of Sūrah al-Baqarah, the Qur'an lays out this incredible spiritual map of the human heart. It talks about the heart that's open to guidance and the heart that's sealed off from it. But then it dedicates a whole section to a third state. And this one is the most complex and the most unstable of them all. And this state isn't just a simple sin. No, the Qur'an frames it as something much, much deeper, a spiritual ailment. It's a sickness in the heart, known in Arabic as nifaq. So what exactly is this condition? When we hear the word hypocrisy, we usually think of someone just saying one thing and doing another. But the Qur'an's diagnosis, it goes way beyond that. And this is where the Qur'an just completely reframes the whole idea for us. Nifaq, in this context, isn't about a disbeliever pretending to have faith. Instead, it's about someone for whom genuine belief has actually become a threat. Think about that for a second. Faith itself is seen as a threat to their comfort, their status, or their need for control. The Qur'an is so explicit about this. It says, فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ مَرَضٌ, in their hearts is a sickness. This metaphor is absolutely crucial. Why? Because a sickness isn't always a conscious choice, is it? It's a deep-seated condition that, if you leave it unchecked, just gets worse and worse over time. Okay, so this spiritual sickness has two layers. You've got the symptoms we can see on the outside, and then you have the fractured reality that's happening on the inside. To really get the Qur'an's diagnosis, we have to look at both. So the classical commentators, like the great al-Ṭabarī, they really focused on those outer signs, the zahir. They saw the hypocrite as someone who wants all the social benefits of belonging to the community, but without paying the price of true commitment. But then you have the Sufi masters, and they looked deeper into the inner reality, the bātin, and they saw a person who isn't empty of faith, but is fundamentally divided by it, someone who loves their own safety more than they love the truth. On the outside, this division manifests as a profound kind of self-deception. As the great scholar Al-Rāzī pointed out, the ultimate mistake is thinking that this performance can somehow deceive God, when in reality, the only ones they're deceiving are themselves. Now, diving into that inner reality, Ibn Arabi diagnoses the root cause as just one thing: fear. It's not the light of faith itself that they oppose. It's the sheer terror of what that light reveals and the fundamental transformation it demands of them. To help us really visualize this internal state, to feel what it's like, the Qur'an gives us two incredibly powerful parables. And the first one begins with the image of a fleeting fire. So, picture this. Someone kindles a fire. This fire represents a brief, manufactured moment of light, a claim to faith that gives a little temporary warmth and vision, but it has no permanent source. It's not the real deal. The verse says that when their little fire lights up everything around them, God takes their light away, leaving them in total darkness, completely unable to see. This just shows that their light was never authentic. It was a performance that simply couldn't be sustained. All right, now the second image is even more intense. It really captures the sheer chaos and terror of living with a divided heart. It's like being caught in a violent, terrifying storm. Just imagine this scene. You're trapped in a storm cloud, surrounded by darkness, thunder, and lightning. The verse describes them putting their fingers in their ears from the thunderclaps, fearing death. Whenever the lightning flashes, they take a few steps, but when the darkness returns, they're frozen in place. This captures their spiritual state so perfectly. They're paralyzed by fear, only able to move when guided by these intermittent, external flashes of light, with no inner compass of their own. So, after all this, what does this person with this unstable heart truly want? Well, the Qur'an tells us they've made a terrible trade, a transaction that can never, ever profit them. They've traded guidance for error, because really, they want the impossible. They want the light of faith, but not the heat of transformation that comes with it. They want the belonging of a community, but without the surrender of their ego. And they want religion, but without the vulnerability of opening their heart completely to God. Acknowledging this within ourselves can be a little frightening. But the Quran's diagnosis isn't meant to be a condemnation, it's an invitation to healing. It points us toward a path of wholeness and authenticity. So what's the takeaway for our own lives? Well, the guidance is actually quite gentle. We're told, don't fear your weakness or your moments of doubt. Instead, fear the masks we wear to hide them. Because God's healing is for our real wounds, not our polished performances. The moment faith becomes just another strategy for worldly gain, the heart is no longer a home for God. The goal really is to let our inner state, our true selves, catch up with the beautiful words we profess. And so we end with a quiet prayer, a munajat, for ourselves and for each other. O light that cannot be faked, gather our scattered selves, make us whole before you, even if it costs us comfort. Ameen. This reflection was based on material compiled by Mir Ali Shah for Living the Wisdom of the Quran. Thank you so much for joining us. May we all be granted hearts that are sincere, whole, and filled with a light that never fades.